I still remember standing at the altar looking at the row of chairs reserved for my family. Empty, every single one. My mother, my brother, Derek, my sister-in-law, Stephanie. None of them came. 1 week before the most important day of my life, my mother called to say my wedding was just a trivial event for someone at the bottom. She told me not to bother them because they had other plans. I thought I was used to being invisible to them. But what happened next shattered me completely. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If stories about family betrayal and finding your own worth resonate with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Have you ever felt invisible to the people who were supposed to love you the most? Stay with me because this story took a turn I never expected. To understand why that empty row of chairs broke something inside me, I need to take you back to the beginning. My name is Marcus. I am 32 years old, and I work as a licensed electrician. I have been in this trade for over a decade now, building my own client base, taking pride in every job I complete, but to my family none of that ever mattered. My father passed away 5 years ago. He was the only person in my family who truly understood me, who saw value in the path I chose. When I told him I wanted to learn a trade instead of going to a 4-year university, he nodded and said, "A man who works with his hands and takes pride in his craft is worth more than a man with a degree who hates his job." Those words stayed with me. They still do. My mother, Linda, never shared that view. From the moment I chose vocational school over college, I became the family disappointment. My older brother, Derek, 4 years my senior, went to law school. He graduated with honors, joined a prestigious firm, and became everything my mother dreamed of. I became the punchline at family gatherings. I cannot count how many times my mother introduced us to relatives by saying, "This is Derek, my lawyer son. And this is Marcus, the one who could not make it." She would laugh like it was a harmless joke. Derek would smirk. And I would stand there, swallowing the humiliation, telling myself it did not matter. Growing up, everything went to Derek. When he needed money for law school, my mother took out loans and worked extra shifts. When I needed tools for my apprenticeship, she told me to figure it out myself. Derek got a car for his 21st birthday. I got a card with $20 inside. When Derek bought his first house, my mother helped with the down payment. When I signed the lease on my small apartment, she did not even ask for the address. Despite all of this, I never stopped trying. I showed up for every holiday. I helped fix things around their houses whenever they asked. I drove 3 hours to attend Derek's kids' birthday parties. I kept believing that one day they would see me. Really see me. 2 years before my wedding, my mother called me crying. She said her car broke down and the repairs would cost a fortune. She also needed to fix the roof of her house before winter. She was desperate. She asked if I could help. I had been saving money for 7 years at that point. $45,000. Every extra dollar from every overtime job went into that account. It was supposed to be my safety net, my future. But my mother was crying and I thought maybe this was my chance to finally matter to her. I asked about Derek. Surely he could help. He made 6 figures as a lawyer. My mother sighed and said Derek was investing in real estate and could not spare anything right now. So I transferred the entire $45,000 to her account. No interest. No formal agreement. Just a promise that she would pay me back $1,500 a month. That was 24 months ago. She has not paid back a single dollar. Every time I brought it up, she had an excuse. "I am your mother, not a stranger," she would say. Or, "Derek needs my help more right now. He has children." The message was clear. Derek's needs would always come before mine. My money was never really mine. It was just a resource for the family members who actually mattered. Then I met Vivian. It happened at a hospital of all places. I was working on a commercial project downtown when I got a minor electrical shock. Nothing serious, but my supervisor insisted I get checked out. The nurse who took care of me had the warmest smile I had ever seen. Her name tag said Vivian. She asked me questions about my work, genuinely curious about what an electrician does. Most people either look down on my profession or have no interest in it. But Vivian listened, like every word mattered. When she laughed at my terrible joke about being shocked into meeting her, I knew I had to see her again. I asked for her number before I was discharged. She hesitated for a moment, then smiled and wrote it on the back of a medical pamphlet. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant near the hospital. We talked for 4 hours without noticing the time. Vivian's family is Puerto Rican, originally from San Juan but settled in Texas 2 decades ago. Her parents, Carlos and Rosa, welcomed me into their home like I was already part of the family. The first time I visited, her father taught me how to make his grandmother's recipe for arroz con pollo. Her mother kept asking if I was eating enough, if I was getting enough sleep, if I needed anything. I had never experienced anything like it. In 30 years, my own mother never once asked if I was okay. But Rosa, a woman I had just met, treated me with more warmth than I had ever known. When I left their house that first night, I sat in my car for 10 minutes trying to understand why strangers could love me more than my own blood. After 2 years of dating, I knew Vivian was the one. I planned the proposal for months, saving up for a ring she deserved, scouting the perfect location. We had our first hiking trip together at a trail in the mountains outside the city. I took her back to that same spot on our anniversary. When I got down on one knee at the summit with the sun setting behind us, Vivian started crying before I even finished asking the question. She said yes immediately, pulling me up and holding me so tight I could barely breathe. It was the happiest moment of my life. That night I called my mother to share the news. I was nervous but hopeful. Maybe this milestone would change things. Maybe she would finally be proud of me. Her response was, "Oh, okay." Then she asked when I could come over to fix the plumbing at Derek's house. He had been complaining about a leak for weeks. Not a single word of congratulations. Not a single question about Vivian or the proposal. Just another task for the family handyman. 4 months before the wedding, Vivian and I designed and printed our invitations ourselves. We chose a simple but elegant design with our names intertwined in gold lettering. I wanted to deliver my family's invitation in person. I thought it would make the moment special. I drove 3 hours to my mother's house on a Saturday morning. When I arrived, she was in the living room watching television with Derek and Stephanie. I handed her the invitation with a smile, my heart pounding with nervous hope. She glanced at it, did not even open the envelope, and set it down on the coffee table next to a stack of magazines. Derek looked over and laughed. "A wedding? With what money?" "Your electrician's salary," Stephanie added. "I hope it is not some backyard barbecue you are calling a wedding." I explained that we had booked a small but beautiful restaurant venue. Around 80 guests. Nothing extravagant but meaningful. Every detail planned with care. My mother sighed like I had just told her about a dentist appointment. "We will see. Derek and Stephanie are planning a trip around that time." I asked her to at least come to the ceremony. Just 2 hours. That was all I needed. She said she would think about it, but her voice was hollow. I knew that tone. It meant no. On the drive home, I called Tyler, my best friend since high school. He was the one person outside of Vivian who truly knew what my family was like. When I told him what happened, he was furious on my behalf. He called them names I will not repeat, but I told him to calm down. I said maybe they would change their minds. I still had hope. Even after everything, I still believed my family might show up for me when it mattered most. 1 week before the wedding, I was at the tailor's shop with Vivian doing the final fitting for my suit. Everything was coming together. The venue was confirmed, the catering was set, and Vivian's family had already arrived from Texas. Her brothers were helping with decorations. Her mother was coordinating the flowers. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was part of something beautiful. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. My heart jumped. I thought she was calling to confirm she would be there. Maybe she had changed her mind. Maybe she realized how important this was. I stepped outside the fitting room to take the call. I said hello with hope in my voice. Her first words were, "Marcus, about your wedding. We will not be coming." I asked why. I needed to hear her reason. She explained that Derek had booked a family trip to Hawaii months ago. The flights and hotels were non-refundable. It would be a waste of money to cancel now. I reminded her that this was my wedding, a once-in-a-lifetime event. Her response still echoes in my mind to this day. She said, "Do not be dramatic. It is just a trivial event for someone at your level." You are at the bottom, Marcus. A small wedding for a small life. Do not bother us with this. We have plans." Then she hung up. I stood outside that tailor shop, phone still pressed to my ear, unable to move. The world around me continued as normal. Cars passed by. People walked on the sidewalk. But I felt like everything had stopped. Vivian found me a few minutes later. She saw my face and immediately knew something was wrong. When I told her what my mother said, she did not cry. She did not yell. She just wrapped her arms around me and held me while I struggled to breathe. She whispered into my ear, "Their absence is not your loss. It is theirs." I wanted to believe her, but that night I could not sleep. I lay awake replaying every moment of my childhood, every dismissal, every comparison to Derek, every time I was made to feel like I did not belong in my own family. I thought I had made peace with it. I was wrong. The day of the wedding arrived with perfect weather. Clear blue sky, gentle breeze, the kind of day that feels like a gift. The restaurant venue looked even more beautiful than I imagined. White flowers lined the aisle. Soft candlelight reflected off every surface. Vivian's family had transformed the space into something magical. I stood at the altar in my tailored suit, watching the doors at the end of the aisle. Vivian's side was overflowing with people. Her parents, her brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles and cousins who flew in from across the country. They were laughing, crying, happy tears buzzing with excitement. My side had Tyler standing next to me as best man, a few friends from work scattered in the chairs, and one empty row right at the front where my mother, my brother, and his wife were supposed to sit. I had placed a small bouquet there in memory of my father. He was the only family member I truly wished could have been there. When Vivian walked down the aisle, she was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Her dress flowed behind her like something from a dream. Her eyes were fixed on mine, filled with so much love that for a moment I forgot about the empty chairs. But when I started reading my vows, my voice cracked. I glanced at that empty row without meaning to. Vivian noticed. She reached out and squeezed my hand tighter. After the ceremony, Carlos walked up to me and pulled me into a hug. He said, "You are my son now. Never forget that." His voice was firm but gentle, like he meant every syllable. Rosa was beside him, wiping tears from her cheeks, telling me I was the best son-in-law she could have ever hoped for. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and more love than I knew what to do with. Tyler gave a speech that made everyone laugh and cry at the same time. Vivian's little niece insisted on dancing on my feet for 3 songs straight. Her grandmother taught me a traditional Puerto Rican dance that I completely butchered, but everyone cheered anyway. Later in the evening, Tyler pulled me aside near the bar. He looked at me seriously and said, "Your family does not deserve you. But look around, man. Everyone here loves you." I nodded, trying to take it in. The people in that room had shown me more love in one evening than my mother had shown me in 32 years. That night, after everyone left and we were finally alone in our hotel room, Vivian asked if I was okay. I told her I would be, because I had her. 1 week after the wedding, I was sitting on our couch scrolling through social media when I saw it. A notification that my mother had posted new photos. I clicked on it without thinking. The album was titled "Amazing Family Vacation in Hawaii with my son Derek, Stephanie, and the grandkids." There were dozens of photos. The beach. A fancy restaurant overlooking the ocean. Snorkeling. Sunset cocktails. And videos. My mother smiling wider than I had seen in years, laughing and saying, "This is what family time is all about." I checked the date on the first photo. It was posted on my wedding day. While I was standing at the altar, looking at empty chairs, my mother was on a beach in Hawaii, posting about how wonderful family time was. I zoomed in on one photo of Derek, Stephanie, my mother, and the kids posing in front of a resort. They were wearing matching Hawaiian shirts. They looked happier than I had ever seen them at any event I was part of. Vivian came over when she noticed I had gone quiet. I handed her the phone without saying a word. She scrolled through the photos, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to something colder. She looked at me and said, "They did not just skip your wedding, they celebrated skipping it." That was when it finally hit me. I was not just unimportant to them. I was so insignificant that they could replace my wedding day with a vacation and feel good about it. They did not even have the decency to feel guilty. They posted it publicly, proudly, like my wedding had never existed. For the first time, I did not feel sad. I felt something else. Clarity. I finally understood that I was chasing the approval of people who would never give it to me, not because I was not good enough, but because they had decided long ago that I would never matter. 1 month passed after the wedding. Vivian and I settled into married life. We found a rhythm that felt natural. Morning coffee together before work. Dinner cooked as a team. Late-night conversations about everything and nothing. For the first time, I had a home that felt like home. I made a decision during that month. I would not reach out to my mother or Derek anymore. I was done being the one who always tried, always called, always showed up only to be dismissed. If they wanted a relationship with me, they would have to make the first move. They did not. Not a single call, text, or email. No acknowledgement that I had gotten married. No apology for missing it. Nothing. Then one Tuesday evening my phone rang. It was my mother. I stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. I could not imagine why she was calling. There had been no contact for a month. Not even a congratulations on social media despite all the photos Vivian's family had posted. I picked up. Her voice was urgent, almost frantic. "Marcus, we need to talk about the money." I asked what money she was referring to. She sounded irritated. "The loan. The $45,000. The payments have not been made. The bank is calling me about late fees." "There are collection letters." I paused. Then I asked, "What payments, Mom?" She launched into an explanation. She said she had told me she would pay me back, but things had been difficult. Derek needed help renovating his house. Stephanie wanted a new car. The Hawaii trip had been more expensive than expected. Between all of that, there was simply nothing left for my repayment. I let her finish. Then I said, "So you had money for Hawaii? You had money for Derek's renovation. You had money for Stephanie's car. But you did not have money for my wedding, and you do not have money to pay me back." She started to protest. She said I was being unfair. I was twisting her words. I had always been selfish, always thinking only about myself. Derek had a family to support, children to raise. I just had a wife, no real responsibilities. She asked why I was being so difficult about this. I let her finish again. Then I asked, "Mom, do you remember what you said to me 1 week before my wedding?" Silence. I continued. "You called my wedding a trivial event for someone at the bottom. You told me not to bother you. You chose Hawaii over your own son's wedding. You posted vacation photos on the exact day I got married." She tried to interrupt. "That was different. That was just..." I did not let her finish. "No, Mom. It is exactly the same. You decided I was trivial. My wedding was trivial. My feelings were trivial. So now your loan, your money problems, they are trivial to me." Her voice rose. "How dare you? I am your mother." I kept my voice calm. A mother shows up. A mother supports. A mother does not call her son's happiest day a trivial event. You made your choice when you went to Hawaii instead of my wedding. Now I am making mine. I could hear Derek's voice in the background demanding to know what was happening. My mother handed him the phone. Derek's tone was condescending, the same tone he had used my entire life. "Marcus, stop being childish. Mom needs that money. This is serious." I almost laughed. "Derek, you are a lawyer making 6 figures a year. You pay her back. I am just someone at the bottom, remember. I do not have money for trivial things." I ended the call before he could respond. My hands were shaking when I put the phone down. Vivian had been sitting next to me, hearing everything. She moved closer and wrapped her arms around me without saying a word. We stayed like that for a long time. Finally, she said, "I am proud of you. I said I should have done this years ago." Over the following weeks, my phone became a battlefield. My mother called constantly. I never answered. Derek sent long text messages alternating between guilt trips and accusations. I never replied. Stephanie posted vague comments on social media about ungrateful family members who abandon the people who raised them. I blocked her. A few weeks later, I received a call from my aunt, my mother's sister. She lived in another state and we rarely spoke, but she had always been kinder to me than the rest of the family. She told me my mother was in financial trouble. The bank was threatening action over unpaid debts. She might have to sell her car. Derek, despite his high salary, had refused to help because he claimed he was also struggling. My aunt asked if there was anything I could do. I told her the truth. I said I already helped 2 years ago. $45,000. Every penny I had saved. She chose to spend it on everyone and everything except paying me back. She chose to skip my wedding for a Hawaiian vacation. She told me I was at the bottom, and my wedding was trivial. I was finished being the backup plan. My aunt was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I understand. You have been treated unfairly your whole life. I am sorry." That apology from someone who was not even directly involved meant more than my mother's words ever had. Vivian and I focused on building our future together. We found a small apartment near her parents' home in Texas. The rent was manageable, and having Carlos and Rosa nearby felt like having real family for the first time. They came over constantly, bringing food, helping us set up furniture, telling stories about their own early years of marriage. One evening, Carlos took me aside while the women were in the kitchen. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You know, when Rosa and I first got married, my own father did not approve. He thought she was not good enough for our family. I made a choice then. I chose her over his approval. I never regretted it." He looked at me with a steady gaze. "You made the same choice. Your mother's approval is not worth more than your own dignity. You will never regret standing up for yourself." He was right. I never did. The first few months after cutting contact with my family were not easy. There were nights when I lay awake staring at the ceiling, questioning myself. Was I too harsh? Should I have given them another chance? Did I abandon my own mother when she needed help? Those thoughts crept in like shadows, especially late at night when everything was quiet. I would remember random moments from childhood. The one time my mother made my favorite dinner for my birthday. The way she smiled at my high school graduation, even if she had complained about the length of the ceremony. Small fragments of warmth buried under years of neglect. But then I would remember the empty chairs at my wedding. I would remember scrolling through those Hawaii photos on what should have been the happiest day of my life. I would hear her voice saying trivial event for someone at the bottom, and the doubts would fade. Vivian never pushed me to talk about it, but she was always there when I needed to. Some nights I would start sharing memories without even planning to, and she would listen until I had nothing left to say. She never judged my family. She never said I should forgive them or that I should stay angry. She just held space for whatever I was feeling. Her parents helped too, in their own way. They included me in everything. Sunday dinners, holiday celebrations, casual afternoons watching baseball with Carlos while he explained the intricacies of plays I had never understood. Rosa started teaching me to cook traditional Puerto Rican dishes, claiming I needed to know how to feed her daughter properly. I started seeing a therapist a few months after the wedding. It was Vivian's suggestion, and I resisted at first. I thought therapy was for people with bigger problems than mine. But the first session proved me wrong. Talking to someone outside my life, someone trained to help untangle the mess in my head, gave me clarity I did not know I needed. I learned words for things I had felt my entire life. Scapegoat, golden child, conditional love, emotional neglect. Hearing those concepts explained helped me understand that what happened was not my fault. I was not unlovable. I was just unlucky in the family I was born into. The therapist helped me set boundaries. Not walls, she said, but boundaries. The difference matters. Walls keep everyone out. Boundaries let the right people in while keeping the harmful ones at a safe distance. I started practicing that distinction. I opened my heart fully to Vivian and her family. I deepened my friendships with Tyler and a few trusted colleagues, but I kept the door closed to my mother and Derek. Not out of revenge, but out of self-preservation. Some people might say I was being cruel, that family is family no matter what, that I should forgive and forget for my own peace. But here is what I learned. Forgiveness does not mean access. I can forgive my mother for who she is without allowing her back into my life to hurt me again. I can wish her well from a distance without sacrificing my own peace to fix her problems. The people who truly love you do not make you feel small. They do not call your joy trivial. They do not choose vacations over your most important moments. They show up. Not perfectly, not without flaws, but they show up. My family never did. Vivian's family always does. Carlos told me something once that I think about often. He said, "Family is not just blood. Family is who chooses you and who you choose back." He chose me. Rosa chose me. Vivian chose me every single day. And I chose them. If you are watching this, and you have ever felt invisible to the people who were supposed to love you most, I want you to know something important. You are not the problem. Some people will never see your worth no matter how hard you try, no matter what you achieve. And that says everything about them and nothing about you. You do not have to earn love from people who decided long ago not to give it. You do not have to keep knocking on doors that will never open. You deserve people who see you, who celebrate you, who show up for the moments that matter. I found my people. Vivian and her family showed me what real love looks like. Tyler and my true friends reminded me that I am worth more than my family ever told me. And I hope with everything in me that you find your people too. They are out there. Sometimes they are waiting in the most unexpected places. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been made to feel invisible by your own family? How did you handle it? Did you find your chosen family, the people who truly see you? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing right now. If this story touched you in any way, please give it a like to help others find it. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story like this one. And share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope that no matter what you are facing with your family or anyone else in your life, you remember this. Your worth is not determined by people who refuse to see it. You are enough exactly as you are. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next story.